Hello friends, and welcome back to the channel. I'm Nick, and this is MSFS Flight Plans. As I had mentioned about, 250 subscribers ago, I said that if we ever got to 500 subscribers, I would send out a personal greeting to you guys because I didn't want this to be some impersonal, disembodied voice that was always just talking to you guys from behind a microphone in the cockpit, sitting next to you in the cockpit. But I wanted to be a little bit more personal thing. But this channel is not about me. It's about us getting out there and enjoying the sim community together and enjoying these sights of the world together. So just wanted to drop you guys a line, say hi, say thank you for being a part of the community. I can't believe we ever got to 500 subscribers. It'll be interesting to see how far this actually goes. But it's just been so awesome to meet all of you guys from around the world, to hear from you, to hear your different descriptions of things that you've seen and your recommendations for places for us to check out. It's just absolutely awesome. And I can't wait to enjoy exploring even more of the world with you guys. So with that, again, thanks a lot. Hope to see you all around. And now let's get on to our flight. Hello friends, and welcome back to the channel. I'm Nick, and this is MSFS Flight Plans. We're going to do something a little bit different today. It's time for us to celebrate. We have crossed the 500 subscriber threshold, which is a real achievement. I could not believe we did it, and in only, 5 or 6 months? That's pretty cool for a channel like this. And, we usually do flights that are just checking out cool places, learning some history, learning some facts about what's going on the ground, reviewing the scenery, and we're going to have no shortage of great scenery out here, as you can already see. But we're going to do a little landing challenge circuit, and this is that Idaho's Deadly 3-pack that I was telling you about. I think it might have even been on that last flight out to Panama. And this is easily the most difficult landing challenge I've experienced in the sim. Maybe not any of them individually, well, with the exception of the first one and the third one. But trying to do all 4 of them together, and they're just in a string. This is going to be like a 20-minute flight, so we're just going to hit them one right after the other. This is very, very difficult. And I heard about it, as I think I mentioned, from Avangel's channel. I think she reviewed it about maybe 2 months ago. And she was flying this thing in the Beaver, which I don't think we could do it in the Beaver. Because when you get to this first one up here, which is going to be right on the top of this hill, there's a little fire lookout up here. And the strip is just going right up the side of the hill, and it's probably 500 feet long. And so the challenge with that one was, when I tried it with anything that had an engine in the front, once you have to take your nose up attitude to get up there, you can't see the runway anymore. So I just don't know if it would even be possible unless you just got lucky plopping it down up there. So I had to give something with a good field of view down here so I could see the runway when we went nose up. And you'll have to get something that can take off really fast. You can see we're at 4,300 feet. So my first plane I tried it with before I realized I wouldn't be able to was something with a front engine was the Cub. Couldn't get it off the ground here. So then I went to the Kit Fox, realized that there was going to be the front engine issues. And then I thought, well, I need something that can take off fast, and this thing's fast, at least from a thrust standpoint. Not real fast cruising. So that'll give us in the air, and then we have to have something that'll stop on a dime. And this is one of the best planes for low stall speeds. I think it's written down here on the side, but my vision's not good enough to see it. I think it's 37 knots. So this one kind of checks all the boxes. So if you guys have this pack or get this pack and give it a try, and if you can do it with any other plane than this one, let me know, because I'd love to see how many different planes I can do it with. The challenge, again, is going to be this first one here, and you'll see what I mean once we get up and going. So let's go ahead and start her up, and we'll be on our way. I was able to get a little bit of information about the stuff around here, but again, there's not much around here, so I'll tell you what I was able to uncover once we get going. All right, so I'm just going to open this thing up full throttle. We got to get to about 7,300 feet to hit this runway up here. So we're just going to climb the 3,000 feet straight up there. And then once we get up there, let me get going, and I'll tell you what my plan is. Once we get up there, we need to cut the throttle all the way back, go full flaps, and use our descent speed as our only source of maintaining airspeed, because if you leave the engines on, the throttle on, it'll shoot you right over the top of the mountain. And because this is a tail dragger, like most of the bush planes are, you have to give it full back stick. And if you have too much speed, you'll just take right off again when you get over that lip. So it is just, every component of this strategy is difficult, and you have to have it all dialed in just right. And I went through a string of about 13 attempts at recording just this first one before I actually managed to get on the ground. And then once you get on the ground, you got to drive around the other side of the little fire lookout up there so you can get set up for taking off from this spot. And you have to try not to drive off the mountain, not to hit the little deer that are up there, not to hit the little fire station with your wing. Everything about this is about as challenging as it could possibly get. And as you can see, the scenery is just ridiculous out here. Ridiculously good, that is. All right, so right when we hit 7,100, I'm going to pull it back, get down to flap speed, which is about 75 knots. And then we'll start coming down. And right dead ahead of us, that little opening there, yeah, that's the strip. Alright, so cut the throttle. Full flaps. And it's already saying, you're about to stall, brother. Oh boy. We were literally 1 knot above stall speed. Okay, so I got to try to get the wheels down just as soon as we can get over those first trees right there. And Avangel didn't try this one. There's 4 of them on her video. She did 3, and then she crashed on the last one. And I'm just going to give her full props for as good as a pilot as she is. That I was impressed that she was able to fly and she flew these in the reverse direction. And on one of them in particular, coming around from the other side, I don't know how she did it. It was amazing, and she didn't crash at that one either. But we'll see if we can get all 4 of them. And the main reason I wanted to record this is because I just want video evidence that I was actually able to do it. Alright, so I got to concentrate hard here. Alright, we're at 40 knots. I'm watching that airspeed real close. And cut it. And brakes, full back pressure. Alright, so now let me show you the next thing you got to be aware of. See where we're sitting right now? We're sitting right in the middle of a big square. And if it wasn't for this square, there's another little side of it there. They put some logs there. You would have no idea how to orient yourself to take off again because you can't tell which direction the opening is. So there's a little rock on the other side of it there that's going to be our marker for how to get back to this square. And as you can see, as soon as you take the brakes off, you start rolling back. Look at this. They got some like lavender or something up here. I'm not a horticulturist, so I can't identify plants very well. See, there's the sides of that square. And that rock right there on that side is the one that we're going to look for when we come around. And now the second part of this challenge. Steering this plane, which is not easy. I found differential braking is usually the best way to do it. Trying not to hit that little lookout tower. Look at this view. Come on. And you can see you go too far, you're going right off the side of the mountain. Give it a little bit of brakes. Try not to hit the building. Try not to hit the deer. Try not to hit the stumps. Oh boy. Don't hit that building, Nick. Do not hit that building. Please. Don't hit the deer. Can you imagine just sitting in that little firehouse watching someone try to do this? Yeah, I got this. I got this. I got this. Believe me. I'm a real professional. Alright, where's our little rock? Where is our rock? I think it's going to be... There it is, right there, right in front of us. See it? So we got to get in our square. I'm going to try to stay on this side of it. Alright. There's the square. And I'm not even going to get in the middle of it because we're going to need as much space as we can get. But I am going to try to get straightened out. Come on. A little more. A little more, baby. There you go. Alright, so I'm going to leave full flaps down. I'm going to floor it. We're going to come off this edge, bounce a couple times off those little hills that were coming in on the landing approach. And if everything goes well, we should be back in the air. And then I'm just going to cut the throttle and we're just going to coast down a bit because we got to come way back to the bottom of that creek to hit the next spot. All right, ready? Let's do it. And bump and up. All right. That's how we do it. Okay, one down. Yeah, I don't think you could land there. I mean, what do you guys think? I found it literally impossible with anything that you couldn't see down underneath you because you got to come nose up. All right, so now we're just going to coast. So this little creek that runs here, through here, and there's where we took off from, that is in the sim. And there's another little place over here that's in the sim, I think it's right around here somewhere, called the Taylor Wilderness Research Area. And they've got a cool little strip out there. If you park in the parking area, you got to drive up through like a little wooded path to get up to the strip. It's neat. But the Orbx pack said this was called Canyon Creek, and I don't think it is. I don't even think we're in the Canyon Creek area, because I looked on the Google map, and it's not anywhere near here. And then when I was looking for the name on this creek on the Google map, I couldn't find that either, but about, I don't know, 3 or 4 miles in that direction, there was a name near it that said Coxey, C-O-X-E-Y Creek, but it was also near a little offshoot, so that might have been the tributary. But I checked out the website for the Taylor Wilderness Research Area, which is a real place, and they said that they were located near a place called the River of No Return. So since that sounds a lot cooler to me than Coxey, I'm just going to call this the River of No Return. Alright, once we come around the side of this mountain on the left, you'll see the next strip. And in the sim, once you add the add-on pack, if you have it, the little fire station there is just a point of interest. There's no runway indicated at all, so I don't know how long that actually is. I'm guessing very short. This next one that we're going to is called Vines Airstrip, and it is in the sim. And it probably doesn't look nearly as good as it does here with the add-on pack. And that one is 920 feet long and is by far going to be the longest of any of them that we're going to see. And this is it right down there. See that little strip right down there? That's where we're going to. And then the one after this, the third one, which is not quite as hard as the first one, but very, very hard. It's called Dewey Moore. That one's going to be 771 feet. And you will not find that in the sim without the add-on pack. And at the end, of course, like usual, we'll pull over a little nav map and I'll show you where everything is. And then the last one is called Simmons or Simons. I don't know how you say it. It's S-I-M-O-N-D-S. And that one is also in little nav map, but it's called McCall Airport in little nav map. So I don't know why they call it Simons in the add-on pack. And once we get up to this next one, there's going to be like a little drone flying around, a little guy controlling the drone. There's another guy fishing with like trout and stuff jumping in the stream. There's going to be eagles soaring around. They really did it up nice. A little plane parked out there. All very cool. As far as mountains go, I mean, when we get right next to them, you'll see they get a little blurry, but this looks pretty doggone good. Real good. And I don't think the Orbx pack touched the mountains. They just look that good on their own, which is a nice treat. And you probably noticed no popping, which is great. All right, so we need to navigate this very skinny little channel here because we got to come in low, real low. And even though this strip is almost 1,000, it's very, very skinny. And we got to clear some trees right at the end, but we got to just barely clear them to get ourselves down in time. And I think this one's probably the easiest of the four. Not that it's easy, but the easiest of the four. Watching my airspeed. Alright, so right when we got some shadows coming over here, but I don't mind that because the river looks kind of like most rivers in the sim. At least it's not flowing uphill. But when you see it in the sunlight, the shorelines don't look quite perfect. And I've completely lost sight of our strip. It's up here somewhere. We'll see it once we get on top of it. I think that's it right there. Yeah, that's got to be it. Oh boy. Okay. Man, my heart is pounding. And I thought about making a little bloopers reel for you guys, and I was recording all of my crashes, and there were lots of them for all these strips, except the last one, which I've only made it to a couple of times. And then I realized that I wasn't saving the audio, so all you would have seen is the plane crashing, and what fun would that be if you couldn't hear me cussing out the plane and myself in the sim. So I'll have to try to start remembering to record the audio as well. All right, we got to concentrate here. The speed looks good. See how close I can get to the side of that thing without hitting it. And there's actually a little bit more space once you get down there on the ground and turn around. We're going to have to turn around because we're going to take off in the same direction we're heading right now. There's a little more space than it appears from here. And that was one nice thing about the Kit Fox, is that the wingspan's a little bit narrower. All right, we got to come down. I can't even imagine doing this with the live weather on, with the wind and all that. See the drone flying around anywhere? I don't see it yet. All right, don't hit the trees. Don't hit the trees. There's the drone. See it on the left there? We don't need much space to stop with this thing. That's what's nice about it. All right, so over to the right, there should be... Oh, see that little trout jumping there? Or whatever's out here in these waters? There's the dude flying the drone. So we're going to turn down here, and I'm just going to have to do a full left brake pivot because there's not much room. There's the guy fishing. See him? He's probably cussing too. Doesn't look like he's catching anything. They're all jumping over his bait. All right. Slowly turn it. Make sure you give yourself plenty of room around the trees. You don't want to ruin your whole flight by clipping one of them. Where'd your drone go, friend? Yeah, they got all their tents out there. Got a little thermos sitting out there. Beautiful. Look at these. All these trees look perfect. Stumps go all the way to the ground. Beautiful. Yeah, so I didn't come out here to see what it looked like without the add-ons, but this is one of the ones that you could land at if you wanted to. You can designate it. Our next spot's going to be just a couple more miles up the creek, and we're going to have to fly low, slow, and navigate all the little outcroppings to get to this thing, and then make like a hairpin turn to the right to come in and nail it. And this is the one when Avangel hit it with that beaver, I was super impressed because she came in from the other direction. I think she even did a side slip to come into it. Very, very good skills. And I don't know if it was her single take. I don't know if she did it all in one shot, but if she did, she's good. All right. And this is the one that she actually flipped the plane over on at the end because she came in from the other direction. All right, once I get straightened out, we're flooring it again. Here we go. This thing just doesn't like going in a straight line. See you guys. Good luck fishing, buddy. Hope you catch something. Alright, so we'll go flaps up. I'm going to keep one notch out because I want to go slow. If we give it too much throttle, it'll start rising too much. And we'll just enjoy the scenery again. Man. I feel like I'm having a little bit of heart arrhythmia, which you'll probably also experience if you try this. You guys get to just enjoy resetting it if you want. I have to think, well, I got to reset the recording, reset the audio, get everything set up again. So for me, there's a little extra added thrill. All right, stay down. I don't want to adjust the trim too much because I don't want the thing to go down too far once we cut the throttle. And you got to get high enough coming over this little pass here because there's obviously no way you're squeezing between that little S-turn there. Man, I've been out to, as far as the Rockies go, I've been to Vail once, Breckenridge once in the winter, and I'm kind of wondering if I would have left the snow on. I mean, I'm guessing in some places you wouldn't even be able to see the runway at all, which would be very difficult. But they just don't have mountains like this out in the Appalachians anywhere, which is where I've spent most of my mountainous time. And when we come into this final strip, you're going to see some of the steepest mountains that we've come across. And it looks just beautiful, of course. Alright, I have a little nav map on the left because it's hard to remember where the next strip is going to be. It's not around this next turn. I think there's one more after this one, then we're going to come into it. And there's a plane that's kind of parked in a bad spot at the end where you'd want to have your braking area. And there's a lady standing there just staring at you, mocking you, waiting to watch you flip your plane over. Or run out of... There's a mountain right at the end of the runway too, so there's no go around if you miss it. You're hitting the mountain. Alright, we need to come down. Alright, full flaps again. Alright, it's not this turn, it's that next whitish looking mountain over there. It's on the other side of that one. Watch the airspeed. I want to try to stay above 40. So when we leave this next one, we're going to have to come back this direction because we got to get turned around. We're going to be heading ultimately the same direction, following this creek. But there's not enough space to turn to get going that direction, so we're going to have to fly out here just a little bit and then come around. Alright, slow down some and get as low as I can. Yep, see the little plane over there? That's where we're going. And I'm probably going to have to use a little bit of rudder here to bring the nose back around to this side. There's an eagle. Get out of the way. And yeah, so Avangel came from the other direction and still hit this thing. Unbelievable. And there's a little turnaround spot right up here too. There she is. Yeah, I made it that time. Not so funny this time, is it? What, you got some coffee there on the hood for me? No thanks. I'm amped up enough as it is. Alright, we're going to turn around right up here. Luckily, we're going to be going downhill again, so even though this is a short runway, under 800 feet, we'll have a little downward slope, so that'll help. Don't hit that tree, please. Alright, and I'm just going to stomp on the left brake. Let's get a little bit further in. Look at that little pond there. I mean, you know that's been touched up. There'd be nothing that'd be a natural sim feature that looks that detailed. Not water that small. All right. Here we go. And we're going to give it balls to the wall. And by the way, I didn't know that balls to the wall was an aviation term. A little YouTube video popped up the other day that said, do you know what the origin of balls to the wall is? And you guys know I love aviation trivia. And once I started thinking about it, and then thinking that YouTube recommended that to me, I figured it's got to be some sort of aviation origin. Well, if you've flown some of the old DC fill in the blank, you know, on some of the mixture handles and the throttle handles, they got little balls on the end of them. So that was the term for put the pedal to the metal, put the balls to the wall. Now you know, if you didn't know before. All right, so I'm going to come over that next ridge. I think that'll give us enough room to get up and back down. And I'm going to go ahead and bring the flaps up because we got a little bit of a hike here. In the first flight I took out here, I did have the live weather on because it was clear. This was weeks ago. And the wind wasn't too bad. I'm going to stall. And I had to do a little lap around before I could land at that firehouse, that fire cabin. So I don't know if with the clear sky setting the air is a little denser or what, but we obviously had no problem getting up to it on clear sky, so just a heads up with that too. That is just beautiful. Wait till you see how steep some of these mountains are once we get turned around. And if you wanted to, you could probably just keep cutting right over the top of these mountains, which I tried to do, but the strip is just kind of right on the other side of them, the ones back behind us now. And it was too hard to come back down fast enough. And this is just such a beautiful little scenic trip that we're going to take this route. And the total distance to the next strip is probably only about 6 miles, but we are not going to be blasting through it. So I was kind of thinking about, you know, now that we've hit 500 subscribers, and it feels like it's been a heck of a lot longer than 5 or 6 months. I think the first video went up around May 20th or something like that of this year. And every now and then I like to go check out our earlier flights, and I was thinking, what was my vision for this channel when I started? How has it evolved? What would I like to see it become? And I think it's actually changed a little bit. Initially, and still to a large degree, it is just about contributing back to the sim community, because it's been such a pleasurable hobby for me, and I appreciate all the other creators and guys in the sim community. Everybody's so awesome. And just seeing stuff is cool, exploring is cool, learning is cool. But then I started thinking, because of the things that I've personally experienced outside of the sim since we started doing this, and I think I mentioned it on one of our flights a couple weeks ago, but I'm finding that, you know, in this world where everybody wants to figure out what tribe everybody belongs to as fast as they possibly can these days, there's nothing that's quite the bond of geographical familiarity. And what I mean by that is I've met a couple people. I met a guy whose daughter lived in Memphis. I met a guy that was from Bordeaux. I met a guy that was from Newfoundland, actually fairly recently after that last flight. Newfoundland, sorry. See, I still keep calling it the old thing. And man, there is just nothing that, even if, you know, I always tell people, like, oh, I haven't personally been there, but I'm pretty familiar with the area. I don't want to tell them that I flight sim over it, because if they're not simmers, they don't really get that. But man, when people know that you're familiar with the areas that they're from, it's like an instant bond. And it's almost kind of like the universal handshake. So that has been something that I have thought is just really cool about this. Never would have even considered that when we started doing it. And man, you know, if you watch these flights, you get pretty familiar with the stuff that's going on the ground, because we research the history of these places, the big landmarks. You get kind of familiar with some of the different suburbs of some of these towns. But I'm having to take these things, you know, sometimes as many as 5 or 6 times as I do test flights and scope everything out. So I get really familiar with some of these spots. And if someone tells me they're from Kansas City, for example, I know the neighborhood they're talking about because I was checking it out. So that has been a wonderful little side benefit of this. And going back to our earliest videos, you know, one of the things about YouTube, and I'm the same way, after a while, especially when there's a lot of videos on a channel, you just never really, especially if you join later in the game, sometimes there's just not enough time to go back and check out the earlier stuff. But some of our coolest flights were some of our first ones. My narration probably wasn't quite as smooth. Not that it's great now, but back in the early days when I was trying to kind of figure out how I wanted to do everything, that's not as good. But it's not like we're going to fly over the same spot twice. Maybe until we get to 2024 we might try that. But I'd encourage you just every now and then go back and check out a random vid. We've flown over some really, really cool spots. So look at how steep this mountain up here on the left is going to be. We're going to take a left around this one sticking out here. I don't even know if you could hike up that. It's that steep. Look at that. And you don't see a lot of hiking trails out here either. But I think there is some pretty good fishing, which is probably what these airports are for out here. So that last airport was not in the sim. If you don't have the add-on pack, this next one will be. And the challenge with this next one is that you have to come down kind of quick, and there's trees all around it. So like that second one, you're really going to have to skim it, but this one's about 200 feet shorter than that second one. So the last time I did this, I had to do a go-around, which you can do if you wind up in a bit of trouble. And then when I came in for the second approach from the other direction, I flew off the runway and crashed. So you can imagine going from the thrill of thinking that I'd finally nailed all 4 of them again to crashing. Welcome to my world. And what I would really like to do, since we're bearing our souls here, I'm trying to find a reason to fly that B2 replica. I just really want to see what it's like to fly that, but you got to go really high and really fast with that. So I'm thinking maybe that might be a good one to do that huge lake crater up in northeastern Canada, because there's nothing else out there, and you got to be super high. And I think the cruising altitude of that thing is like 40,000 plus. So we might just take off from that, fly over it, land just so I can see what that's all about, because that'd probably be pretty cool. All right, this one's also kind of hard to spot. Once we come around here, I'm going to have to keep glancing at a little nav map to see how we're tracking. Gosh, this is beautiful, isn't it? Really nice. All right, let's pick up the pace a little bit. We've got about 3 miles to go. If you haven't seen live videos of anyone flying this DoubleEnder, it is crazy. Really crazy. I'm sure you've seen the Kit Fox competitions where they try to land the thing right in the middle of a bullseye, where they just gun it and the tail shoots straight up in the air and then they take off. Awesome. You should check out some flights of this thing, though. It is crazy. Really wild. All right, so we'll hit this mountain, then that next one, the lighter colored one on the other side, and then we're going to have to start looking for that runway. And I'm going to have to try to get much lower and much slower than I was the last time, because I'd like to not have to do another go-around. Aren't too many parts of the U.S. anyway where you can still enjoy this kind of peace and serenity. And they said the Canyon Creek, when I was originally thinking that's what this was, is one of the most, I think the word they used was tainted rivers in this area. And I don't know if they meant polluted or that people had just messed it all up from fishing it so much, but the actual Canyon Creek kind of looked like this on the Google Maps. There wasn't a lot of stuff around it. But apparently that's a big fishing spot, and apparently they've done something to mess it up from its original state, whatever that was. Okay, we are within 2 miles now. So the next flight will be Sao Paulo, and I'm going to need some time to work on that thing. It is going to be a beast. And I'm afraid everyone's going to be disappointed with it, because there's not like a lot of forts. There's not a whole lot of history out there. I mean, it's old, but there's not a lot of old structures, but there are tons and tons of just stuff out there everywhere. When you thought Mexico City was big, this place is insanely big. All right, so let's start slowing down, way down. Got to get as low as I can. Go ahead and get these flaps out. Just start crawling over here. I'll try not to miss this thing again. There it is, right down there. See it? Slow down some more. Get lower. See, this mountain right here is the problem. But we can get closer. Slow down some more. Do a little rudder. We're still too high. My heart's pounding again. Look at this. Look at these trees. That's the problem right there. Right when I get over this one, I'm going to cut it. Gosh, come on. All right, no throttle. Come on, get down. Oh, We had just enough left. Good old DoubleEnder. You couldn't do that in any other plane. No way. All right, flaps up again. All right, we're going around. Man, that is hard. I mean, if you had a plane that had to have any more speed coming over there, I just don't know how you could do it. See, AvAngel took off from that one. Taking off wouldn't be the problem. Man, oh man. This is just killing me, guys. Yep, if you do all 4 of these, let me know. Without crashing, I won't ask you to prove it. This is going to be the honor system, but I'll give you a shout out on our next vid if you can do it. Because this is the pinnacle of landing challenges, at least in my opinion. Really, really tough. You know, some of the only ones that I haven't been able to get A's on in the sim are some of the jetliners. I don't know why I struggle with some of those, but, you know, they're kind of touchy with the steering. You got to make sure you're coming in with the right angle of attack on all of those or you're screwed. All right, here we go again. Let's try getting even lower and even slower. Full flaps. Maybe we're going to be too high again. Airspeed too high. See, this time we're not going to be able to go around. This is what happened last time. I hit those trees at the end trying to get off. All right, come on. All right, we did it. Oh, oh. You know what, guys? I'm just going to leave it like that. I'm just going to leave it like that. I can't do it again. I just can't do it again. All right, so what we're going to do is I'm just going to bring over a little nav map just to show you I was not kidding about the level of frustration you can experience with something like that. We're going to go ahead and just show you what we did, and you try it. That was it. That was it. At least we got to the last one. I'm in the same company as AvAngel now. All right, so here's where we are, and just to back up a little bit to show you, I mean, middle of nowhere. We can enjoy that nice flight sim music in the background too while we do this. So here are the strips that I'll recommend you check out. Either of these are both really cool. This is the one that has the little path. See that? You got to drive through that little path there, and you better not have a plane with a big wingspan on it, or you're going to wreck when you go through the path. So if you're going to do the DoubleEnder, I wouldn't take off from that one there. And that is the Taylor Ranch landing area, which is right next to, maybe, the River of No Return. Man, I kind of like that little background music, adding a little ambiance to this. So here's where we took off from, and that one is called, what does that say? Cabin Creek. It looks like it's, I can't even see what the number on that is. Well, you'll see it. It's right there. And if you look on the Google Maps, they do have a place marker for that little fire cabin place up here, but in the sim, it's going to be a POI marker, and when you get close to it, since it's a POI, not a landing strip, you will not see... Oh, and look, there it is. They've even got the little house down there, but you won't see any kind of strip in the sim. But it's there, along with their little lilacs or lavender or whatever that was. And then here was Vines. That one was probably the easiest of all of them. So if you're feeling real great about yourself at that point, just get ready for some disappointment. Then we came over here to this guy, and as you can see, that is not indicated in the sim, but there's that little spot there, and it looks like they probably cleared some trees out. And why are there other flight plan maps here? Yeah, I've tried this a few times. I've even reset it several times. But I guess if it looks like this in the sim, you're not going to be able to land it because you need this to be clear right here. Probably not going to be able to do it. Well, you know what? No, that's not the spot, because here's where you turn around. Well, that is pretty open. All right, so if it looks like that, you could probably do it. If you just want to try landing there without paying the $12 to get it from Orbx. Well, if you try it without the add-on pack, let me know if it's flyable, and I'll let everybody else know too. Save you $12 if you want. But then you'll miss out on the guy flying the drone and the eagle and all that stuff. Then we came around. So what, like I was saying before, if you wanted to, you could probably cut through this little pass right here, but I found when I tried to do it before, it was just too hard to get down fast enough. And you can see even coming up the canyon, obviously, we couldn't do it. I know you guys were wanting me to use some profanity back there, but I knew this was going to be the one I'd post, so you don't have to get out the ear bleach. And then we came on into this one that they're calling McCall, which they called in Orbx Simmons Airstrip, or maybe Simons. Okay, well, that's it, guys. That's our 500 subscriber anniversary. Thank you guys for joining me for the ride. It's been such an awesome experience. So much more to come. It's been an absolute blast as always. Can't wait to see you all again in the skies. Later.